That's so abusive for no reason.
I know. Like, how you gonna beat him up? It's quarantine time.
It's exactly. You gotta stay.
Go.
You gotta stay 6 feet
from each other. Yeah, so you can't swing at anybody.
So it's 3:30, and I just started our recording. I know there's gonna be some more people that log on, but that's on them. We got Trey for a certain amount of time. So like I said the last time, I want to make sure we respecting Trey's time as well. I know that all of y'all feel like y'all not beautiful enough right now. But I really enjoy seeing y'all faces. I don't know why y'all all, be so determined to close y'all cameras, but it's okay. I mean,
Indy, Lillian.
Yes, Lillian, Vivian.
Y'all got pretty faces. What's going on?
I miss y'all faces. You know what I'm saying? So, so I'll do a little bit of a really, really brief introduction because obviously Trey can talk about himself better than I can talk about him. Trey Gates is one of our alumni. I forgot what high school you went to. You went to.
Wow.
Was it Creekside? I can't remember. Fulton County School.
Once upon a time, I did go to. I transferred though, and I finished at Langston.
Langston, see.
That's what I wanted to say.
I thought we got rid of all the Langston kids. So,
wow, it's been that long. We forgot where you went to school. So we sorry. We getting old.
Graduates. Right. We had all the programs together. We tried to get Trey to come back and work at the TA last year, but he didn't want to mess with us like that. It's okay. Trey is a student at Morehouse College, obviously. Trey is near and dear to my heart. I love him to death. Interesting fun fact about Trey, right? My first memory of Trey, me and him got into it. That's my first memory of Trey Gates. Because Trey.
Really?
Yeah.
He's not that type of person.
That's my first memory. Like we got into it. I perceived Trey being disrespectful, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, we don't do that around here." And that was like, but after that, man, me and Trey, that's my man. Right?
I don't believe that. Trey is far from being a disrespectful person, but okay. But I trust you too as a colleague that can call out.
But Trey's a tough kid, and so all of the people that's on here that know me know I like people that can take a little bit of criticism and then still be straight. And so Trey's definitely one of those types to me. Trey, the way we've been doing this, some of them just got, they might ask you random questions about everything, maybe about the college process, about, organizations that you're in, about decisions you made, about advice that you might have gave yourself when you was, a freshman all the way to senior year, about the major. They might ask you anything. Right, and so the floor is yours, man. We appreciate you talking to us. We have, I think, a couple of the guys that are on here actually did tour Morehouse with us in February.
Yeah,
a couple of them. I know we missed you that day, but a couple of them did tour Morehouse. But not even just about Morehouse. We got some other people that are definitely interested in going to HBCU, so you can talk about some of that feeling and why you chose, Morehouse and the HBCU. But any of that, man, we at your mercy, man. You can talk it up. So you can just tell us some stuff, and then they'll probably chime in with some questions a little bit later.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trey Gates. I am a graduating senior psychology major from Atlanta, Georgia, and I don't want to say attended yet, Morehouse College. So basically, I guess I'll give a little brief story of mine. So I started in Upper Bound during my high school years. Yes, me and Kenny, we had a rocky start to begin our relationship as good brothers. However, I do appreciate my time in Upper Bound. It actually helped me become the man I am today. Being able to branch out, it really, honestly, I'm gonna say I was a bit of a person. I was one of those individuals you would say in a shell. Very uncertain about a lot of things. I wasn't too confident with a lot when I first started my journey before Upward Bound. But I would say it's one of the reasons why I continued and considered college, post high school plans very dear, and I hold dear to my heart. So I began like I said, at Morehouse with Upward Bound as a student. I didn't really know where I wanted to go when I first started Upward Bound. At first, I know visited Tuskegee University, and I thought that that was my number one school. I saw Auburn, but I knew PWIs just wasn't the place for me. I mean, I knew I wanted to get more deeply rooted into my culture. I wanted to do a lot more with my talents as far as my cultural talent and being a person of color within the U.S. So I decided to say, let me branch out. Probably was going to thought about how my brother went to Howard, so I was just like, I want my own HBCU. And it's funny I ended up at Morehouse College because it's in state, which I felt was very good. A lot of people, there's nothing wrong with stepping outside of the state. I just felt like I didn't want to make that dive just so soon. But I'll get to that a little bit later in our discussion. Um, Ended up finishing at Winston Hughes High School in May of 2017. I said to myself, Morehouse, a couple of months prior, I was like, it had to be Morehouse because I felt like something there was calling me. And it wasn't just the typical Samuel Jackson talk or Dr. Martin Luther King talk or the other civil rights activists that brought me there. It was something more, I would say, holistic as far as the experience. The three schools being next to Spelman, of course, and next to Clark Atlanta University, both very good schools within the HBCU category of schools in the U.S. So I said, yeah, I'm going to go to Morehouse. I started, came to Morehouse a little bit early. I did what do you call it? We called it the pre-freshman, the STEM program is called MISA for STEM students. So basically, we were able to integrate ourselves into the campus a little bit earlier than most students, having a leg up. Getting to know some of our fellow brothers that were coming in with us in the fall of 2017, I was able to expand my STEM interest. A little fun fact about me, I began as a physics major, but I changed my major to psychology, as I will talk about a little bit later. And I realized that this was the place for me. I knew I was welcome, open arms from the professors that came to help out with the summer program to the brothers I met there when I began my pre-freshman summer program. I started that fall of 2017, happy, eager, and I didn't know. I was just like, I was uncertain. So I began this talking about how do I put it? Give me 1 second. The beginning or the college uncertainties, changing majors, and getting your feet wet as far as entering and immersing yourself into the college lifestyle. So I began a little nervous. I didn't go to parties, I'll be honest. Now, about parties in college, you never want to immerse yourself too much into them because they can become much of a culture like many things we like to see in society today. So I decided to begin my college career with a little bit more of in the room. So I've tried many things in college as far as being in the room, being the homebody, being the party person, being the person always in their books. And I'm just like, there's no one way of doing college. And that's the best thing about being attending an HBCU. You learn that there's more ways, and college in general, there's more than one way of enjoying it. So needless to say, I began my journey as a physics major. I kind of had a rocky start, as most good things happen. You always start off a little rocky. It gets worse before it gets better. Um, I didn't do so hot in calculus. That was a class that changed the whole thing for me. I realized that calculus, after taking that as far as it for my major as a physics major, I was hoping to become an engineer one day, a mechanical engineer to be exact. And I realized that that just wasn't my thing. I was just like, this professor, we had talks. I was just like, I'm doing everything I can to take this class. I'm putting my all into it. I'm just like, maybe I am putting myself into it, but I wasn't putting my talents into consideration. I realized that I like talking with people. I've always been open to having an open ear, and I always felt myself finding someone sitting across from me, either sitting, I would say, in a place where they felt like they didn't know where to go, where to turn. So I was open to hearing their stories. And so I said, let me become a psychology major. I said, maybe I can be better than Dr. Phil. Maybe I can do a little bit more than Yellow Van Zant. And maybe I can redefine this whole idea that psychology majors do more than speak about people's problems. And we do a way lot more than that, what I've learned. And then I became a bit more immersed. I've joined organizations. And I learned that an organization I hold dear, I talk about it a lot. It's called Counsel Humans and Life Lessons. So basically, we are peer counselors on campus when students are going through something, and we hold discussions around different mental health subjects. So I've held discussions and panels from seasonal affect depression that is normally predominant during the early winter months when it starts getting darker. Normally during daylight savings, I would say, and it's more of a light deficiency cause when we just getting used to the time zones and getting used to the changing of the time and season. And I've also had discussion about college depression because college, as fun as it can be, it can also be a lot of work. And we learned that being a workaholic, I'm one of those. It's not, it takes away from the experience. You realize that you put so much into the life of doing well GPA wise that you don't do well in social life, or you don't do well as physically for yourself. And so you realize it's like, wow. So I've had discussion about then I realized that when we go into college, we try to be these things our parents want to be. And I start off this conversation with changing your majors, saying it's okay. I mean, everything you won't get it right the first time. You can't expect everything to go right the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you something, Trey. How
Mhm.
long did it take you to change your major? Like you got to school, you wanted to be a thing. How
Mhm.
long? How many semesters did you go through the process of? I don't know if I should. Maybe I can't. I'm just curious.
It took me one semester. One. It's better to learn early than later because that extends your time in college. Like I said, college can be fun, but it's also work. You have to know what you'll invest your time into, your personal time, and what you'll feel like that you're exploring your talents and using your talents in the right way. Um, Changing my major for me was one of the best things. Like I said, for me, I realized that I want to do more talking with people, and I wanted to redefine the whole aspect of psychology. My second point, so we can get into the question. I wanted you to think about knowing your worth as a college student. Me, I learned my worth, like I said, when I changed my major. And I decided to get a little bit more closer with other people in college. That includes my friends, my associates, my professors. I learned that office hours is very essential. It is okay to come to your professor even if you have questions during the class, but it's even better to get involved with your professor after class, as if you would do with your teachers in high school. I learned that my professors, they were my best interest for me. They always saw what was my best interest. They led me towards some good opportunities. They allowed me to be able to, express myself, and also be able to understand that, as a psych major, yes, some work, and as a student, it's a lot more work. But it takes a village sometimes to raise yourself, or better, or sharpen iron. And I like to finish, like I said, my last point before we get into the question, changing the narrative. So how do you? I thought to myself, I posed myself the question. It can happen anytime before college, after college, in the middle of college. How do you want to create or change the world in your own way? So basically, that always starts, with your extracurriculars. What are you motivated to do? What causes are you? What drives you to continue your endeavors as far as investing yourself into this institution? And how do you want to allow said endeavors to pivot you to where you want to be as a professional in a professional world? So me, I started, like I said, I feel like doing my first extracurricular of college. I didn't really do the clubs at first. Dual enrollment was my first extracurricular of college. I started, like I said, dual enrollment doing at Atlanta Metropolitan State College, and I made myself to Morehouse. That was my senior year at that. And I decided when I became a student at Morehouse, I was just like, I feel like I need to, devote my time to doing better academics, but also exploring other interests. Like I said, I joined an organization called Chill, Counseling Humans and Life Lessons. I realized I wanted to be a therapist, but also be able to understand others. Because you can take a lot of having an open ear is a very essential skill as far as no matter what industry that you plan on going into as a student. And I also joined a group called Atlanta University Speaks. We call it AUC Speaks. Basically, it was this public speaking organization allowing myself to get over my glossophobia because I started out college not being able to fully talk to large groups of people, and I felt like I had to get over it. So I just decided, immerse myself to that lifestyle a bit more. And from there, I led discussions, barbershop talks. We've also had the opportunity. I've also had the opportunity to become a residential advisor, being able to, make decisions for residents, check residents in, do a lot more than check-ins, develop some good relationships. And I hope to see a lot of my residents, as a resident advisor, see them flourish as far as their professional development goes. So being a college student, yes, it's a lot of work, but I feel like if you find out what you're passionate and allow that to motivate you and drive you, you can do well in the end, as I've done for myself. Within the 3 years I have been at Morehouse College. At this time, I will be able to take any questions the interview may have.
Hey, I'm gonna throw one out just because I want them to know what it is. So you talked about being a residential advisor. Well,
yes.
That's not something y'all can do as freshmen, obviously, but can you tell them some of the benefits of being a residential advisor and, especially financially, and maybe how difficult the process it is?
Okay, yes. Some of the good benefits of being a resident advisor, don't consider these your driving factor to become one. You have to be somebody that has to be a servant for X amount of people, depending on how big your residential space is. We call them residential house at Morehouse. So the benefits for me were, yes, it was free housing, free meal plans. And I also got the opportunity to stay in one of the best buildings on campus, called Otis Moss Suites at Morehouse. Had a whole apartment style. Started off with an oven, kitchen, all that good stuff. Also, I was able to, I guess I was taking myself out of a comfort zone. Taking yourself out of comfort zone is very good about one of the very good aspects and benefits of becoming a resident advisor. I was able to meet people and also be an advocate with people. I realized I want to be more than a therapist. I became more of a social change advocate. So you have to be able to advocate for others despite any altercations. And let's talk about the cons since we want to talk about altercations. The cons included, so we all know about homecoming and all these fun things that go about in college, all the fun things that you may have experienced in high schools. But you have to realize that when you take on a responsibility as of this, you have to do a bit more. So at 3 a.m., you might get a phone call. Somebody might be locked out. During a test, somebody might call you. And yes, my supervisor, they did care about my GPA. However, after I finished that test, as much as I wanted to just, relax, it was straight to that whatever situation it was. From residential plumbing issues, from residential altercation. As an RA, you have to immerse yourself into people's lives as more than just a residential advisor, somebody who just has the keys when somebody's locked out. I had to handle a couple of those, even with parents. I mean, when we did check-ins, recently, parents were fighting over the rooms, even though they were assigned to the residents were assigned rooms, and they wanted to move the residents stuff, and you have to be able to, talk with people with customer service. So it's a lot of essential benefits of becoming a residential advisor. Needs to say there are cons, but if you're ready to divulge yourself into a space of being that open ear, changing some people's lives, then I definitely say after your first year being a freshman, whether you attend HPC or PWI, to go ahead and you make that decision. Not just for the money or the free housing or the free food.
But those are all good things too. I mean, free housing, free food are all good things as well. But yes, there are a lot of other benefits. So do any of y'all? He's putting her in the Indy said, Indy, you can cut your mic on and ask a question.
What are my stats? Are you talking?
Okay. We like to hear you too.
Sorry, I didn't know how this worked. Wait.
Chloe.
Okay, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah. What are your like stats, like your SAT, ACT scores, and like your GPA?
Oh, my stats. Okay, perfect.
You ain't been out of
My
school that long.
GPA.
You remember that stuff. You ain't been out of school that long. And
It's been quite a while.
Start with high school. What kind of high school student were you?
Okay, so high school. ACT was a 24, SAT was 1150, and I finished with a 3.75 in high school. All that aside, I got a $25,000 academic scholarship from Morehouse College, so happy. Currently, I have a 3.11. When I discuss this GPA, yes, you would think it would be much higher and all the good stuff, Morehouse, yes. The stuff I talk about, books and being a student. But I understand, yes, I did change my major, so that's part of it, in addition to taking up several responsibilities on campus. So I began in college with a 3.63. And of course, it went down as I got more deep into my major and started to get more involved in campus. Yes, GPA, all academics do matter. GPA is very essential. However, you must realize that it's okay to not have the best GPA. It is essential to stay in your books, but it's also essential to also use your resource as a student. That does not mean cheating. That doesn't mean going ahead and bribing somebody to take your online test if you have that to your leisure. That means going ahead and taking those necessary steps, those office hours, having those conversations with your professors at the beginning. When you have uncertainty in the class, you may feel a little bit uncomfortable raising your hand, but the best alternative for you to do is to talk to your professor in office hours. That was one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead, push the envelope as far as being more involved with my professors, developing study group. Like I said, limiting the parties. To be honest with you, party life is cool, but most of the parties are gonna be the same people, same music, and it'd be the same vibe, and it gets boring. So that's one of the things I say limit that, because you can really get tired of party life real easily. In addition, your GPA dropping. So I realized I made a lot of mistakes, and I feel like I'm telling you this right now because it's very essential. As you guys starting this, college is an investment. It's one of the best investments you can make as young adults, divulging yourself into the real world. And you'll learn right after college. It's just like you always ask yourself that question, whether it's the beginning, middle, or I say the end. What am I going to do with these skills that I've acquired? And that's why it's essential to have these conversations with professors in office hours, do the necessary work to boost that GPA, and be able to have some integrity for yourself. Because honestly, people will approach you with several opportunities, whether it be job opportunities or opportunity for professional development, and they'll be able to say, "Oh, I remember this person; they did the work," when others decided not to. And that's as far as that. Mm-hmm.
And let me say this too, Indy, and I love the question. I like where your head is at, Indy, but I want to make sure I say this to y'all too. High school is much, much different than college in terms of GPAs, right? And so right now, a lot of y'all are, hyper focused as you need to be on your GPAs while you're in high school. Your GPAs are not nearly as important in college as they are in high school. In high school, y'all put a lot of weight on graduating in the top 10% and being the star student and that kind of stuff. Now, we want you to go to college and still do your work. It's still good grades. But realistically speaking, if you graduating from college with a 3.2 and having lots of experiences and good relationships and, spring break and study abroad and all of that, and having a 3.2 is far better, in my opinion, than graduating with a 3.9 and all you remember from college is being in your books, right? This is a time for you to grow as a person and develop as a person. And so I want to make sure I say that, because I do understand your question, Indy. But stats become a lot different. Like, even in terms of, like Trey said, Trey talked about him changing his major. In college, even if you want to go to grad school, when you go to grad school and you're doing applications and you writing your letters or whatever to apply for your grad school, they will delineate and they will ask you, they might ask you your total GPA. And even when you write in your letter, you can say, well, yeah, my total GPA was a 3.0, but my major GPA was a 3.8. And that's a really common kind of thing, right? Because even though Trey just said he has a 3.1 GPA, if you just look at his psychology classes, I'm sure his GPA is, better than that, right? Because sometimes you have, like he said, he changed majors, and that was some of his GPA difference. Because sometimes in college, especially those first couple of years, you're taking classes that you got to take because they on your pathway, but you ain't necessarily that interested in. But then by the time you get to your junior year, your senior year, and you're really taking whatever your major is, you kind of are given a little bit different energy, and you're just a better and more mature college student at that point. So usually your GPA kind of goes up the longer you're in school. It's weird, but that's kind of how it works. Anybody else got questions? Nope.
I do want to add in what you just said. Hey, everybody, I'm Miss Carr.
Hey.
What it do? No, I'm just playing. I've been lacking social interaction for far too long, as you can tell. I want to add to what Mr. Kenny just said about, hi, Artie, about the GPA. So he's totally right about that. In addition, I recently got my graduate degree in 2018. And they look at your GPA, but they don't necessarily base everything off of that. They do want to know that you did other things in college besides just being your books. And they focus more like on the type of person that you are, like who was the person that you became while you were in college, and are you well-rounded, and what community service did you do, and what was your internships and stuff like that. So they do focus more on like those other experiences. Some colleges might not even, they'll ask you your GPA, but sometimes it doesn't even matter. As long as you got the degree from whatever institution. And depending on where you want to go, you still might have to take the GRE or the MCAT or the LSAT. And those are all tests to get to whatever school, law school, pharmacy school, med school, or whatever program you want to get into. If it's a general studies, you will take the GRE. So they'll weigh those things as well, not just the GPA.
In addition to that, my GPA is reflected the way it does is because in college a lot of things happen, so you have to take on different responsibilities, whether it's carrying yourself financially. Yes, you can ask your parents or guardians for financial assistance. However, it's like becoming an adult, you have to learn how to be a bit more independent. So I took on the RA job. That was already a job. So with that job, I had to be on desk for 6 hours, from 6 to 12. That was once a week. Then I had to consider finances. I also worked for my parents on a cleaning business, but that was kind of flexible with my schedule. I also took a third job working at Macy's. So my meals were taken care of, my house was taken care of, but you still got to live life in college. You got to get groceries. You want to do fun things. You got to keep the finances up so you can keep yourself afloat financially. So I made a lot of sacrifices to uphold my lifestyle. I mean, not saying the 3 jobs didn't work, but it gave me some time to develop myself professionally. I also took a couple of responsibilities doing volunteering opportunities. Now, if you're doing that now, that's very good. That helps you become more well-rounded. It's very essential as far as becoming that person you want to be. And it allows you to be able to understand your community a bit more, because once you immerse yourself in college, you have to consider, if you step outside, when I step outside of Morehouse, I realized that there was some people, like I would walk outside after a class probably at 11, and I would see like elementary school age kids walking the streets, and I'm just like, with their families, but I'm just like, what are these people doing? Like, and I would see like younger children, like people in high school. I'm like, why are y'all walking this area? Like, what is going on? I thought you'd be in school. Like, I'm in school. I mean, I'm paying for it, but to be honest, it's just like you realize there's a lot more to your community when you do these volunteering opportunities. So I started at, I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with, what did I start? What is that school? I hate Maynard Jackson High School. I started at Maynard Jackson High School as a tutor for high school students. I realized that I found myself more interested in developing younger generations as far as academic wise. I also realized there that I felt like there was more that I could do. So I started getting involved like the campus cleanups, the community cleanups. We went out to different parts of the Southwest Atlanta area and cleaned up different communities. And I realized that there was more that I could do on campus when do to involve outside areas. I also considered what else I did. Like I said, my organization, we had meetings twice a week. I had to plan events. So I'm just saying that GPA aspect, it does matter. But what happens is you learn that if you don't take those risks, put yourself in other zones that are outside of your comfort zone, you won't allow yourself to fully grow as an individual. And yes, the GPA does matter, but if you don't have anything to say for your experience entering the real world as a young adult, then not too many people will take interest in you. They'll just be like, yeah, he did the work or she did the work, but did they really try to set themselves apart from other candidates applying for my intern or my internship, my grad school, my research for undergraduates? Did they take that extended honor or did they take advantage of opportunity? A lot of people that you'll learn when you start to get like jobs, whether you have jobs currently or not. In the professional world, they like to say that you're well-rounded, as aforementioned, and you're a bit more when you do other things. Like I said, I did tutoring. I was a community service manager for my group AUC Speaks. I was an ambassador for my group Counseling Humans and Life Lessons, and I was also a residential advisor in addition to working other jobs. So I was taking it extended. I was just like, I'm in my books, but I'm also in my bag because you're not in your bag. Then you're just a student, and nobody wants just a student when they finish school. I mean, you can be just a student and be a tutor, but if you want to be something more than just a well-rounded be more than an educated individual, you're more dangerous. Like they say, stay dangerous in this world if you're able to do a lot more than the average person. So GPA matters, but also what you bring to the table just as well. Any other questions?
When did you realize that you wanted to be at Morehouse?
I tell a lot of people this. It's a little secret. Might include this in my book when I write it one day. Morehouse, they gave me, I don't know why I went for the financial gain, but they gave me a lot more than other schools offered me. Hampton was offering me $20,000, Tuskegee $10,000, and Morehouse offered me $25,000. I also applied to other schools, but Clark didn't accept me for some reason. Howard, just didn't see myself there, so I didn't feel motivated to finish it.
They ain't offering you, man, at Clark. Ward, get your vote. Make a call, Ward.
That was the funniest thing. Like, they didn't offer me anything. I guess they thought, oh, he's from Atlanta, so he can commute. But you learn colleges, they have their own fun ways.
I can't hear what you're saying, Ward. Ms. Ward was trying to say something.
What you say?
Source was Tuskegee, correct? Initially,
yes.
That was the first choice. They didn't offer you enough money.
They did not.
And then I was actually trying to push you to Morehouse, honestly. Morehouse and Tech.
It would have been Tech, but I said to myself, you got to ask yourself these questions. Are you really what you say you are? And does these things you say you are align with your talents? Like, if you find yourself in that turmoil or that, I like to say a paradox because it's a conflict between yourself. If you sit there and you say, well, I want to be, let's say, lawyer. Do you want to read books for X amount of hours and know all these different cases and be able to call this like you want to be called to like do a maybe internship with a lawyer or a shadowing opportunity? Do you see yourself devoting yourself into learning that information to get there or no? A lot of times you have to do a lot of self-evaluation in college when you make these decisions, and especially when you begin, because I made this was a frugal investment, I thought, at the time. And I'm glad I finished in 3 years, so it's not as strenuous for me, thank God. But I also had a lot of scholarships along the way, thank God, for me staying in my books and also making myself well-rounded. However, yes, I started Tuskegee, Tech, Hampton, and Morehouse was just, it was literally like, it's one of these, I'll be honest with you, I never toured Morehouse until like my senior year of high school. So first semester, I'm looking like, I guess I could go to the school. I mean, it's an all-male school. What's there to offer? I mean, Spelman's across the street. And that's one of the, I guess I would say one of the many selling points. But to be honest, you realize that once you get here, I'm just like, it's the people. It's not the school. Yes, there are a lot of different legacies here at Morehouse, whether you be a family member of Dr. Martin Luther King, Samuel Jackson, Chris Tucker, and all the many ones alike. However, you realize that you feel like you can make more, you can do something. I feel like you can elevate yourself a bit more at this institution. So I realized, I said, I don't want to be like Dr. Martin Luther King. I mean, I did one protest. I think this was when Trump was coming into office. One protest, I enjoyed it. I was just like, I think I could do another one, but they never did in my within the Atlanta University Center. But I was like, I feel like this is for me because you can learn from it by doing and immerse yourself in the different activities and spaces. You learn what you really can contribute to the table at the end of the day. So like I said, you want to be a lawyer, you have to read these books, learn these different cases. Are you ready to do that? Because once it's put in front of you, you have the tools. You just have to use your resources from there. So that's what got me at Morehouse, financial gain initially, but it turned out it was the people. You learn that Morehouse, I don't want to say they brainwashed us into this brotherhood, but it's in the water. We drink it. It's the brotherhood. It's very good here. Just likewise at Spelman and Clark, honestly. We call AUC a family because we know for a fact that without ourselves as students, the institutions would not be what they are without us. We bring the celebrities, we bring the accomplishments. We are the people that they want. The people that come to our school, Goldman Sachs, NASA, CDC, and once I applied for the FBI, but I changed my mind about that. But I'll talk about that a little later if you have a question about that. All these different places, they realize, once you realize what you have, the value you have in yourself, they realize there's a value in you. And so when you make those, like when I said from jumping from picking your college to picking your opportunities, you realize the one that offers you the better opportunity and the next step of your pivotal, your pedestal of success, I would say take it. You have to take it, and you'll know. And so that's what made me choose Morehouse. Creating my own path. What do you feel more comfortable doing that? Any more questions?
You talked about that assessment, right? That self-assessment, and that's a very real thing.
Yes.
I want some of y'all to really take heed of that advice, because we hear that from y'all, man. We get people all the time that want to be doctors and stuff, but they hate science. Like we'll be like, how you feeling anatomy? And you don't want to do anatomy, but you want to be a doctor. Like, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes what we realized over the years is sometimes that stuff becomes easy to say or cute to say. Like, it's just the stuff that you say, well, I want to be a lawyer. Like, you've been saying that since you was in second grade. So now you 18 and you still just saying, well, I want to be a lawyer. But like he said, but you hate history. You hate researching. You hate. So do you really want to be a lawyer, or is it just a thing that you've been used to saying, right? And sometimes, you know, I think everybody goes through a point where they have to check that. You know what I mean? When I went to college, I wanted to be a math teacher. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, math was my, you know, one of my favorite subjects, and that's what it is. And I got to school, and realistically speaking, got to school and hated my first math class at Georgia State. Couldn't stand the teacher, didn't like it at all. I had to get used to the fact that at Georgia State, a lot of the math professors were foreign, and I wasn't used to that, right? It just wasn't used to, it didn't work for me. And, you know, then later kind of dug back into history and everything else. Now, I still ended up in education, but nowhere near math, right? And so, but that was a real thing that I had to sit there and learn for myself. Like, I could have been hard-headed and said, no, math is going to be my thing. But I would have probably cost myself, like Trey said, more money and more heartache by not just doing a self-assessment and saying, yeah, but is this really what you want right now? And so it's one of the reasons that when I talk to all of y'all, I tell y'all don't have to be, it's okay not to know. Like, it's very okay not to know when you are, 16, 17. When you're 19, it's very okay not to know, to kind of still be testing it out and seeing what you like. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to add that in.
Any question? I mean, because I just want y'all to have some type of insight before you go ahead and push the college envelope and start immersing yourself in these spaces, because a lot comes with it. So I'll be very transparent with you all.
You're very hands-on with like your college. Were there any obstacles that you faced that made you like frustrated?
I will be very honest. In college, you will learn who you can associate with and who is there for you at the end of the day. So for me, I would say it would be relationship, friendship, and so like I said, you have to know your friends and your associates. The way I see this, your friends are the individuals. If you were to say, I'll just throw this as not a stereotype, but maybe for a scenario. I'll say if you want to go to a party, you enjoy yourself, have a very good time. Too much fun, you get tired, you might have had too much of so and so. You have to know who will be there at the end of the day for you. So if you see your friends go home like, oh, you'll be fine, you can Uber your way back. One of those things was relationships or friendships and associates. Like, that's an associate, yeah, you'll be all right. A friend would be like, oh, I'm gonna get you home, you get sick, I'm gonna nurse you back to health. I've been a part of some of these situations where I've seen people just leave. You'll be, everybody's having a good time, they don't want to leave the party, so let me just leave this friend, and then that friend, they'll get home, I guess, or something. But a lot of things happen, so you have to know your friends. That's one of my obstacles, knowing people, knowing you can trust. You'll know you can trust at the end of the day when it really counts. Two, I would say getting over this in my head thing. I noticed that when I took on these opportunities and these different responsibilities, I noticed I got in my head a bit like, what am I doing? You get to that self-realization that, am I doing enough, or am I going the right way? And that's why I say it's very good to develop mentors, people, your professors, and allow them to act as your mentors and see who you can trust on campus, as, like I said, friends. Three, I would say I like to do things in threes. Another obstacle I would say is not letting someone else's accomplishments devalue or diminish yours. From time to time, I found myself at Morehouse being that everybody was Mr. Suit and Tie, Mr. Best Dressed, or all these different things. Because I'm telling you, Millennium University Center, we have 1,500 pageants, and as you learn in HBCUs, there's a pageant for everything, and there's an oratorical contest for just about anything. So you will learn. Yes, I'm just gonna throw a random name. Johnny got the 4.0 GPA. I got the 3.5, but like Mr. Kitty said, did Johnny enjoy college? I mean, at Morehouse, we like to say, don't allow Morehouse to don't go through Morehouse. Allow Morehouse to go through you. We like to talk about that. You never want to, I guess I would say, run a race and miss your checkpoint. You always want to run a race, get your checkpoint, get your electrolyte, so you don't pass out in the middle or at the finish line. So definitely know yourself and just, know when you need to edit yourself, but don't allow somebody else's successes to become yours. I mean, it's good to have mentors and look up to people, but realize you're you. Their story is already written, so you have to write your own story. So that's what I would say to that. Any other question?
Hey, Trey. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question, man. Because you were you know, a little bit ahead of the game. You was doing dual enrollment. You were, you know, a smart guy in high school. Didn't really, you know, see a lot of competition in high school that stressed you out at all. So what was that transition like when you go from being, you know, a relatively independent and, you know, sizable big fish in a small pond of high school, like where you was doing dual enrollment and not really
You're
even
saying
going
what was
to
the
school every day and doing that? So how was your transition going from that space to going into a college where now you're here and everybody at Morehouse, you know, was a big fish in whatever pond they came from, and now it's all of these people kind of jockeying for position, right? Because we do have, you know, a couple of seniors that were on the call. I know we still got one this year, and that transition is an interesting one. So I like to kind of hear how people go through it. But what was that transition like for you? And I see Ms. Wynn asked the question and just said, what was some of the stuff you did in high school to put yourself in good positions for college? So, sorry, 2 questions. Bam.
wait, okay. I started with Win because I'm sorry I did not notice it was at 4:11 when she made that
Right.
question, and I'll start about the big fish conversation and the little fish in the big pond. Let's see, what did I do in college to have me set up? Definitely did dual enrollment. If you have any younger siblings or you know somebody who may have the aptitude or the motivation to go ahead and do dual enrollment, I would say go for it. I don't know if Atlanta Metro State College still does it, but if you can, definitely go for it. I admit, I realized that a lot of options, yes, scholarship. I'll be honest with you, I didn't do the big fancy. I didn't do the scholarship, and I realized for good reason that they're essential in case you have any financial hardships. I relied on, yes, my merit, my academic accomplishments, and the way I involve myself in community to shape my financial successes. Um, Now I realized that it kind of gave me a leg up. To be honest, I did a lot of the things early, so it of course saves you money to go ahead and do dual enrollment. May knock a year off of college for you, so you can still enjoy it, but you can still allow yourself more room to think about yourself. Um, Two, before college, I decided that I wanted to definitely attend the HBCU. Not because my brother did it, it's because I wanted to. I knew for a fact I wanted to get deeply rooted in my culture. So I decided that it had to be a HBCU. Otherwise, I would have probably took a gap year, just, still have been HBCU the following year. Three, what other things did I do that you college options I have? And like I said, consider what's in your best interest. So if you see a college that's known for so and so, make sure that that college is going to be known or be something that you can really look up to. Like, to be honest, a lot of schools they like to sell you with we have the best GPAs in the country, we have the best football team. But realize this is an investment that you are making. So whatever investment you're making, you become part of that culture. So if something were to happen where, you go to the campus, you say, I'm here. You look at it, you realize, oh, it's not much around here. Like you go to Auburn, not belittling Auburn or Tuskegee because they're in Alabama and in the more rural area. You have to realize what options will you have around you. How far are you from a store? Will you have to consider Uber? Will you have to consider getting a car, investing in a car? Will you have to take up a job? And what possible jobs are in proximity to you? Are there any jobs offered on campus? So it's a lot of things you have to consider when I consider personally that set me up for my college option. I'm just like, I knew Tuskegee, yes, it was very rural. I knew the history, but I was just like, how am I getting to the store? I mean, it's not really close to thing. And then like, what is here to really excite me? I learned that Morehouse has a lot of opportunity. Well, Atlanta University Center in general, they have a lot of opportunity, HBCUs and PWIs at that, for students to go ahead and pivot themselves a little higher as far as their prospects of doing things in college, just not being involved in campus. That includes, like I said, internship, REUs, research for undergraduates, research education for undergraduates, and shadowing opportunities. So I realized that the Atlanta U.S. Center, whether it be Morehouse or Clark at the time, those were the two that probably were my best interest. Plus, I was close to home, and I knew that I could be a bit more still involved with my family and be able to develop our relationship the same way as well. So that was one of the things. Now the question, anything else before I go to the next question? In case anybody needs any more further clarity.
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
My phone was messing up.
It's okay.
I just wanted to ask, like, how did you deal with the distractions that came like to you? Like, 'cause I know you get in college, it's many distractions around you, and it can really mess up like your focus on schoolwork and stuff. I just want to know how did you deal with it?
Okay. Well, this is a saying we have at Morehouse. Guess I'm being biased to my school today, and I'm not right.
Hey man, you can only talk to your experience. Talk to your.
At Morehouse, we have a saying that Spelman fails more men of Morehouse than a calculus class. It's funny, I almost did fail calculus. However, you have to realize, and what I'm trying to say, not to be sexist by any means, there are a lot of things that are being placed in front of you as a young adult that can distract you easily. That can be your cell phone, your TVs, your Netflix subscriptions, who you're associating with, and your other activities. So you have to understand there has to be a balance. I talk about this. You can't be just one type of student. And it's not being fake, facetious, or anything like that. It's allowing yourself to be well-rounded without being known for one thing. Oh, Cameron was the party animal, or Emmanuel was the class clown, or uh, Vivian was making TikToks while the professor was outside the classroom. You know,
That sounds
you have to
exactly
be
like
able to.
what Vivian would do. That sounds exactly like Vivian.
I'm
Oh wow. Okay.
not to attack you, Vivian. See, I'm just trying to throw out scenarios that are relatable because I've seen these things happen.
Right.
You can even the best scholar, like I said, these people do a lot of things in college. But you have to realize that the balance is key to allow yourself to really get that full experience without short gaslighting yourself or doing too much to where you have less of a GPA and more of a college experience. I realized women at AUC, cool peoples, you can make friends all you want to. But you always have to consider who is in your best interest. Needless to say, form very good relationships. Don't be so quick to rush into the ones where they're long-winded, where if you were to say a certain thing and then you think more about the relationship than your schoolwork. Don't be involved in an organization to where you volunteer more than the next couple of people. And then when your GPA suffers, they say, well, that was your decision to do so and so. Don't be so heavily immersed into social media that you lose all reality around you. Because I've seen people, they had very good prospects in my school. Options from athletes to your number one students to your class presidents. I've seen them leave in less than a semester to the 3 years I've been at Morehouse College. I witnessed a lot of people leave. And it might have been because they decided to, divulge into drug life, allowed to be a party animal. Because you can't, nobody gets a good grade for being a party animal in college. It's just not, doesn't work. The women and the men, I'll say relationship, they're cool. Just make good relationships. Don't focus too heavily on the relationship to where you're feeling where you're taking more, putting more in a relationship. I mean, honest, college is not for you to get married as soon as you finish. It's not. Despite the many successes and miracles that may happen, we all realize miracles happen only a few times in our lives. So it's only going to be a few people that may get married in college. So I realized I've seen a couple of people, and I've seen that they falling off right after. So I'm saying don't rush to be something that you haven't put the work to be in, or that you will take away from your college experience to do. Needless to say, if you find yourself being around people that are very distracting, find yourself in a library, some type of space that is designated to studying. If you find yourself attracted to parties, you can find yourself studying. And also, you might get 2 hours of party, but more than likely, I go to parties and I've been only there for like an hour, hour and a half tops. So, and it also saves a lot of money because parties do cost in college, especially the ones that have the big name, that have the best flyers. So, those are not always the essentials. The women, and you will find yourself, the women and men in your relationships. As a psych major, I've had a lot of discussions with couples, and I've done some studies on couples, and I've learned that a lot of people are under this impression of dating to marry. Now, I'll be honest, you know the types of individuals that you wouldn't bring home to the family. So be very considerate of those things when you're a college student. So that's one of the those are a couple of things that are distracting in addition to the extracurriculars. Yes, join things, but don't join too much because what happens when you're the every person, when you're a yes man or a yes woman, people are so quick to throw things on you, and then they're like, they don't care about their books. I mean, they are a very good person, a part of this organization. So just be able to know yourself in college. And I think that's very important as far as keeping yourself away from distraction. And like I said, the cell phones, there'll always be Twitter beefs, Twitter so-and-sos, always be parties, and there'll always be more fish in the sea. So being that fish, you feel like you feel like that small fish in a big pond, just take a deeper dive into the ocean. Don't just stay in that big pond mindset. Just take a deeper dive because you know the ocean has so many things. You have coral reefs and other beautiful things. So you don't have to rely on just one thing or one pond. I mean, a pond could just have one log floating there. Like, oh, let's go to the one log. But the ocean has so many islands and different things and beauty. So goes. And that's what you should focus on.
Let me say this too on that same thing. I'm sorry, I keep laughing at Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I love you, brother. Nah, let me say this too, man. Just in terms of what Trey was also saying, man. Whenever y'all get ready to go to school, right? College is a time of reinvention, but you should ease into it, which is some of kind of what Trey is saying too, right? So some of y'all do a lot of stuff in y'all high schools. Y'all are all world everything. Y'all are on, teams and chess clubs and debate teams and all this kind of stuff, even Overbound, which is an extracurricular activity. I usually suggest to people that when you are a first-year college student, when you're just going to college, I usually suggest to people, don't try to join more than one organization, right? Because some of y'all are the kind of people that right now, right? Mike Ellison, how many clubs you in at Morrow right now? Right, just that many, right. Right. Doing everything, right? And so sometimes, we know Jordan hella busy doing everything, and he's in a whole bunch of clubs doing stuff, right? And so that kind of becomes y'all norm. And it's not to say that you won't recreate that at some point in college, because like Trey just said, Trey's in 3 or 4 different kind of organizations right now. But when you pile all of that stuff on your plate and you're a freshman or you're a first-year student, you really put yourself in a bad spot. Like you put yourself in a spot because you are getting used to new work and new levels of freedom now that you don't live in your mom's house and all that kind of stuff. And so you really don't want to be in 4 different clubs your first semester, because it really can take away from your academic time more than you realize. When you're trying to go to every single event for 3 or 4 organizations, you're trying to make sure you show up to these things. You also want to make sure that you protect your reputation early on. So like Trey said, and I know a lot of people that went to Morehouse, right, and Spelman and Clark, right? And some of y'all in high school, and I'm sure there are people at every single one of y'all high schools that did something stupid when they was in 9th grade, and they a senior now, and people still look at them like, yeah, you remember in 9th grade when they did blank, 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 right? And so you definitely don't want to be in that situation in college, right? There are people every year at every college that the first 2 weeks of college, they out there partying, you know, having too good a time, being reckless, and 2 or 3 years later, they trying to join an organization and somebody's still bringing up what they did their first week on campus when they was a freshman. You know what I mean? And now they trying to, you know, Ms. Ward can tell you about this kind of stuff. Now they trying to join a Greek letter organization, or they trying to run for, you know, SGA office, or they trying to be homecoming, you know, king or queen, and now they a junior trying to be in the homecoming court, and there's still gonna be people looking at them like, yeah, but I remember freshman year, you know, first weekend on campus, you was at the party, you know, drunk, falling over, like, and that kind of stuff. I'm saying it kind of in jest, but it absolutely happens, and so that kind of stuff, you want to make sure that you, you know, don't go to college and try to become immediately the person you left high school as. Like, you might have been the coolest person in the world in your high school, and everybody might have knew your name, and you might have been dope at everything. But you're not going to be that your first 2 months of college. And so don't try to be that. Don't try to go into your college saying, I'm going to take over the world. Like, look at the lay of the land, figure out what's going on, you know, and then maybe by second semester, join some of them clubs, or really kind of put your stamp on stuff, you know. But I always want to give people that piece of advice, because sometimes people move a little bit too fast when they first show up to college.
I agree with that. I like to echo that as well. I on purpose. Can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I on purpose, when I was in high school, I was in everything. I was miss everything. And when I got to college, my freshman year, I was like, intentionally. It was purposefully. I was like, I'm not going to get involved in anything. I said, I might do one thing. And then I ended up being Miss Louisiana through the AUC. Because I was forced, one of my homeboys at Morehouse made me come to the meeting. I didn't want to go because I was like, I'm not getting involved. I'm just doing school. I'm not doing anything extra. And I went to that meeting and ended up running for Miss Louisiana and ended up being Miss Louisiana for the AUC. But outside of that, I didn't join anything else because my point was I wanted to really immerse myself in campus life and just, you know, just be a part of it, but not be in it, you know? And so that I can really focus on my academics and see where I wanted to fit, you know? And so I figured that out by the second semester of my freshman year, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do by my sophomore year. So I just didn't overstep myself and basically, you know, just doing too much, because like you said, it's in the AU, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's parties all the time. There's just so much stuff going on. So, but it was fun. And like you say, you need to figure out a balance. You need to do both. So yes, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, because for some of y'all, and you know, and we'll catch this. I see a hand, but I don't know whose face that is. I just see a hand. But for some of y'all too, man, if you really sit back and look at some of this stuff, if you in an honest moment, you kind of know. Some of y'all be exhausted. Like, some of y'all carrying all of the stuff that y'all carry can be exhausting. And I ain't trying to put nobody on the spot, but I know some of y'all. So I know, you know, even young ones, but I know Mike Ellison. I know, you know, Destiny. Even young people on here like Ed Monty, right? Like there are times where you are doing so much and you are always, you know, in the vision, in the line of sight of other people. You are always, you know, the life of the party, putting on the show. There are times when that thing happens and you get really used to doing it. You get really comfortable doing it, right? But, you know, but college is an opportunity for you maybe to say, okay, if I want to get back in that space, I can always get back in that space. But maybe I don't need to go to college, you know, desiring to be in that space off the top. Like, sometimes it's good to be able to step back a little bit and say, look, I can have fun with my group of friends if I want to have fun with my group of friends, but I don't necessarily need to be everybody entertainment, like to be the life of the party for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because whether you realize it or not, sometimes that stuff carries it's a lot of weight that is on you that you don't necessarily always realize you carrying all this weight around, that people just waiting on you to change their mood, right? They just oh well, yeah, okay, well Cameron here, so now I know, Jordan here, so let me just stare at Jordan and see how Jordan's gonna entertain me today, or make sure you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff can bring a lot of pressure. And so, college is one of the few times in your life, especially if you go to a college and a lot of people from your high school didn't go to that college with you. College is one of the few times in life that you really get to reinvent yourself. That you really get to say, what things about myself do I really like, that I really enjoy, and what things about myself do I need to kind of back up from? Because sometimes in high school, you don't necessarily want to do all the stuff that people expect you to do. It's just you've been doing it for so long that you be like, well, people need me to be, Vivian, whatever that means. People need me to be Annie, whatever that means. And so you kind of get in this cycle of just doing what people expect of you. And in college, sometimes it's one of those few opportunities in life that you really get to say, now, what is it that Keith wants to do? Not what is it that people expect Keith to do, but what is it that Keith wants to do? And so when you have that opportunity, take it really seriously. But like Trey was saying, the only way you can really take that opportunity seriously is if you really do the self-evaluation work. Like you really gotta ask yourself them questions. Ask yourself, why do I do some of this stuff that I'm doing? Like, am I doing it because it is what I want to do, because it makes me feel good about myself, because whatever? Or am I doing it because it is the expectation of my mama, or the expectation of Mr. Kenny, or the expectation of, my principal, or whatever? Like, so this is really a time that you really got to ask yourself them questions, figure out those answers, and then, kind of reinvent yourself as necessary.
I also want to say that I think as people, we have different types of fears in our life, and we have certain pedestal and expectations that we think people have. Like I've always thought that my parents wanted me to be successful. Of course, all of our family wanted us to be successful, but like I thought they had certain expectations, and I had this, they never said it, but like, oh, I need to be able to take care of my parents one day. And let me tell you, they do not expect that. They just want you to live your best life, be the best person that you can be kind, enjoy life, experience the world, do things that they have never experienced, and just give back to the community, figure out who you are while you're in college. That's like the best times. You're going to meet your bestest friends. Back to talk to my friends 15 years afterwards, like those are lifelong friendships that you're going to have. So don't overdo yourself. Just figure out what you want to do with yourself. Even if you don't know, it's okay. Because I still didn't know, even after graduating from college, what I wanted to do in my life. And then it hit me one day, like, oh, I want to be an open bound counselor. And my dream job, this is where I am today. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't even like school like that. I went to school, like you said, Trey, the people that you meet like that. So, yeah. And you have a chance to do that now in high school. These different clubs that you're able to join the ones that you really think you're gonna like. If you don't like it, deuces. You don't have to stay with it for 3 years. Just do things that you think, move on, do something else. Start a new club at your school right now if there's none that you enjoy. But like Trey, he did a lot of different things in high school, and volunteering, doing, extracurricular activities, getting good grades. Like you have to be that well-rounded packet that people are looking for. They're not just looking for straight A's. Anybody can have straight A's, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. It's okay to live up to other people's expectations. What are your expectations for yourself? Who do you want to be?
How you gonna change the world? Like Trey said in the beginning. How you gonna change the world? That's a lot right there. Do y'all have any more questions for Trey? Like I said, I'm really trying to make sure we be respectful of everybody's time to share with us. And so we done had Trey for about 45 minutes. So do we have any other direct questions for Trey? Anybody? Destiny, what was that face?
I have, if we have any questions, okay. I'm gonna have 5 secrets I'd like to tell you all before you embark on these young adult journeys.
Okay.
Um, so number one, your major is your major, not your parents, not like Mr. Kennedy said, your principals, your dream. It's your dream, but your realistic dream. Um, I feel like you should start the race strong and finish stronger. When I say the race, I mean your GPA, your involvement. So if you're gonna start strong, you don't additionally, yes, start off strong. You work yourself up, you develop your muscles. So do the necessary work to become stronger. Decide you are enough when others are a lot. That takes a lot to, that's a very adult decision. You have to learn, you have to realize that you're enough may not be somebody else's enough, but somebody's enough may be a lot for you. So decide you are enough initially. Watch what you say. So that includes posting on social media, what you say on campus about others, and how you approach your professors. Because a lot of these people, they didn't get these positions on campus as professors with bad memory. So my professor, we can talk about what happened. I initially became a psych major, and when I finished at Morehouse, I was a psych major. I know people that have done and said some things, professors, that they have regretted along a lot further down the line. And lastly, seek counseling resources. I'm not saying it just because I'm a mental health advocate. I'm saying this because, like Mr. Kenny says, it becomes a lot. Like, you would be so surprised what happens in the college student life. As a written about, I learned a lot of things about people, and it kind of hit home. And being a mental health advocate, as I wanted to be, I realized that I had to seek help. Like, it is okay. There are some burdens you can't carry. Even Hercules can't carry some of the burdens that you may receive in college. You just can't. And it's okay to seek out the necessary resource. Doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. I've had so many conversations with people because people like, when you go to therapy, don't crazy people go to therapy? Some crazy people, they do if they're afforded the opportunity because the government or whoever is over them makes them go to therapy. But when you're in college, that might be a privilege that you should take in consideration because
And it's
a
paid
lot
for.
of people,
And it's already paid for.
it is paid for. Yes, you're not paying a psychiatrist, psychologist. Don't be like the people, because I'm sure y'all know or seen on TV how the people have the nice therapists when they're about 50, a couple of ages over the line where they should have done something early. They on a young to fix my life and Dr. Phil, and they could have started when they was in college and they was about 20, 19, 18. I realized that because honestly, you will receive a lot of burdens in college. And that's the thing about it. It's just like it introduces it's your first introduction to the real world. I mean, high school was only the grain of sand, but the big rock, the big chunk of rock that you really get thrown at you is college. Because a lot of things happen. You may experience some losses, a couple of friends may go, and you might just feel like I'm not motivated to finish because XYZ happened. And you have to know it's what motivates you is what keeps you in college, what gets you that internship. Because that's one of the things that people ask you when they ask you for like grad school. I'll be very brief. I just applied for grad school at University of Michigan School of Social Work. Still waiting to hear back from them. I recently got I had an interview with them last week. They asked me what was my strengths and weaknesses. Um, a lot of the time you never want to say I was a leader, or I'm a leader, or I like, creating things. And you never want to say you want to use like certain words, like I'm hands-on, I'm kinesthetic. But you want to be able to realize this before people ask you. Like that should be something that's instantaneous. Also, they asked me what books have I read recently. These are some things you should keep in mind. Reading is very essential as far as your professional development because people want to know. And of course, certain jobs like who asked me for right now? I tried signing up or joining. I tried to apply for a consulting group job. I almost went corporate after college. Needless to say, nothing's wrong with going corporate, but I tried to go corporate and they asked me like for a writing sample, and I was just like, a writing sample. It was a good writing sample, but you got to consider these things. That's what I'm saying. Be very mindful of what's going on as you progress and matriculate as a college student. And lastly, what I say about Michigan, I apply for things. However, you have to realize that things cost, and that's why I said the job. So there'll be a lot of things that happen to you in college, but you have to be able, find ways to get around these. Like I said, going to therapy, going to office hours, being able to include yourself into campus activity, like Ms. Ward said, but not making yourself complete. Like your life is not the campus. If you decide to join this organization or group or do whatever you do, you have to realize the separation from you and that group of people or you in those extracurricular activities. And finally, I just want to hear, what are you guys' plans? What are the colleges you're interested in, majors? And I can get possibly, I'll leave my phone number for anybody to stay in touch or an email. And I can probably get you in contact with some people I know. I know political science majors, I know STEM majors, psychology majors, of course, pre-med majors, sociology, policy, like I said, just so many. So what are you guys' potential majors and interests?
Chemistry. I'm sorry.
Chemistry. Ooh. That is I wish you luck. I wish
Criminal
everybody luck in
Thank you.
all of them. Criminal justice. I see
Yeah.
a lot of books.
Ouch.
A lot of books, chemistry, a lot of math and science.
I wanted to major in pre-farm.
Pre-farm. As an agricultural?
No, like
No,
pre-pharmacy.
Pharmacy.
Oh, pre-farm. I'm sorry. I'm so.
All the way.
I've never heard the term. I've heard of pre-med, pre-law,
PH
pre-farm.
form. Yeah.
Yes, PH form. Yes. A lot of chemistry, math for you. Definitely. Who
I plan
else?
on majoring in physics and environmental science.
A lot of math, a lot of calculus. You'll probably take more math than math majors, which I see you doing it. I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I only do criminal law or history.
Criminal law. I know a history major. It's funny she goes to Clark. Definitely, like I said, I'll leave my name, my information, and I'll try to get you in contact with the resources I have so it can be better. Like, mentors. It's always good to have a mentor, somebody that you can ask these questions because we're just about done with our undergrad paths and about to go to the next level. Everybody else? Did everyone?
Hey, so Trey, wait, let me ask you. So you said you were supposed to graduate next month.
I was supposed to graduate next month.
You're graduating next month. They're just gonna do the ceremony later.
In December. Yes.
All right.
Same, yay us.
We got a couple of seniors here, 2020, that are frustrated right now because of
I
everything.
meant to ask you guys, how do you feel about this? Like, it's different, but I love to hear how people are doing. Go, let's hear.
My opinion is, a lot of people are freaking out, but I feel like it's just like you said, it's different. It's something that we're not used to, and people freak out about change. But like, it's change. It is what it is. So I think it's sad that we can't do the traditional way, but at the same time, for me, it's like, okay, so we're the first class to actually do something different than every other class in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's another way to look at it. Like, it's the first step to change is how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see a problem with us being that first class to take that first step. I just think they're out because they're so used to the traditions and they just feel like, oh, it's supposed to be that way. And that's not true. That's just how it's always been done.
I want to say something to that. I feel like a lot of us 2020 people like to talk about that 2020 clear vision. Just because 2020 is off to a rough start, don't lose your clear vision. It's just, I realize it's a big change. Change is meant to happen. It's inevitable. Definitely look at the bright aspects of it. I know, yes, a lot of things were canceled or postponed, but I feel like during this time, this is the best time to build ourselves up as far as, getting in contact with necessary resources, doing scholarships, taking that time to talk to your friends, because it's unfortunate. I'll tell you the honest. This is the sad truth about college. You'll go to college and you will not talk to a good majority of people from your high school once you get to where I am. I'm a third. I made it to third year. I still talk to these people in similar circles, but it's very rare. And so I feel like your upward bound friends. I still talk to my upward bound friends. It's always good to stay in contact with these people because you never know what tomorrow may bring. Because tomorrow is very uncertain. So definitely to spend this time with your peoples, your friends, checking in on that professor, checking on your older family members. Spend that time because I mean, unfortunately, if it had been how it was intended, the end of the semester, you probably wouldn't have had that much time to do that stuff that you couldn't have done if you had still had the time to, be on campus and be in classes. So a lot of this time can be used to like build yourselves up. So definitely consider that. Anybody else? I think somebody typed in the chat. Oh, public policy. Oh, so poli-sci. That's definitely in sociology, business administration. I like those. Business. So not to say you have to be able to finesse, but you do. You have to be able to finesse, and I mean in a good way. You have to know how to market yourself in a way. So business administration, as far as being an administrator, you have to be a very good leader, orient yourself around people that find themselves driven to either create clubs, whatever organizations you're interested in, whether you're in FBLA now, the people that are in like the business groups and Morehouse business association or what have you, definitely orient yourself around those individuals. But like I said, I leave my information to see who I can get in contact with to possibly help you guys out as far as getting over that uncertainty hurdle as incoming freshmen. Any other feelings about the whole 2020 thing? Anybody?
Uh, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I
Mhm.
think it kind of makes us stronger going through tough times and stuff like that.
You're
So I
not as
feel like
scared
if you
to
can,
fight. No, I'm joking.
wow, okay. Like I feel like if you can, I feel like if like we can get through this relatively unscathed, I think we'll be fine for the future.
I definitely agree. Just positive, positive thoughts and constructive acts will probably be the best thing to get through this. Yes, it's a bummer to be inside, constrained, restricted, just like we're in some type of refugee dystopian society like you see in Hunger Games, but we'll make it out of it. Any other? I just want to hear from you guys. I spoke the whole time. I feel like I don't sucked up all the words in the conversation. All my talking.
And the last frustrating thing is that a lot of colleges are not responding right now.
So when you say not respond, have you called, or you emailed, or?
Yeah, emails.
Okay. I'm hoping like a lot of institutions, they're going for this whole GPA thing. So definitely consider those. Definitely keep your phone on the ringer on because schools are always look for students, especially students who decided to take the privilege of joining Upward Bound because Upward Bound has so many connections. I believe a lot of famous people such as Angela Bassett, I believe Viola Davis, and a good number of people were a part of the Upward Bound program. So people like hearing stories like that. So I think you should definitely keep on aspiring. What are you considering? I didn't hear the people's interest in school. What selection?
A&T, Savannah State, Albany. That's the top three.
Gotcha. Definitely keep in contact with those. They're always look for bright students, especially people of color. They know we have a lot to offer, and we always bring new things to take, as I like to see it. Everybody, your option.
I want to go to FAMU.
Yeah.
Have y'all been in contact with these schools? I know you said you were. FAMU, you said have you been in contact with FAMU? Have you heard anything from them?
No, but I'm always on their websites and I'm always looking at the updates they be having on their education stuff and their requirements and stuff. Like,
Just stay informed on the way I see it being equipped as far as knowing your information, because you never know who may pick up their phone. They like to start, like, you never know. It could be a admissions counselor. They say, like, what do you see about this institution that gets you? Don't say it was the parties or the homecoming. Find out. You may have heard about their so-and-so program. A lot of y'all say STEM programs and social sciences. So it's always good to always know your information as far as, about that school. Because a lot of schools, like when I interviewed for Michigan, they asked me, what do I like about Michigan? And to be honest with you, all I knew about was the social work program. So I was just like, I like that y'all graduate over 300 plus social workers per year through your master's program. So it's just knowing, if you feel knowledgeable enough to learn about them not being a student, just imagine the possibility with you being a student at the institution by knowing this information now. So definitely consider that with your school options. Anybody else? I don't hear no PWIs. Oh, don't run away from them. I mean,
I was thinking about Georgia Southern and Duke.
Georgia Southern, yeah, that's the only one.
Georgia Southern, okay. You said I heard Duke.
Yeah.
We having a Georgia Southern talk next week, man. Peter Gay.
Peter Gay.
Yeah. Peter Gay. Peter Gay gonna do Tuesday, so we having a Georgia Southern conversation on Tuesday.
All right, lit.
Just so y'all know, I heard y'all say Georgia Southern, so I'm just telling y'all. We got Georgia Southern Tuesday. I think University of Pennsylvania on Wednesday. At some point, Michaela still said she gonna do Georgia Tech, and Jayla and maybe Brigette as well might be doing UGA. So we got a couple of talks coming up for next week. It's going down.
Definitely. I
we
heard
got a few from Savannah State that want to talk, but I'm thinking I'm gonna make them all talk together because like too many of them hit me up at the same time. So
I heard Alabama State is taking GPAs, right?
Yeah, I think Alabama State is like accepting a lot of people easily right now. That's what I heard.
Definitely keep your ear to the I don't know if y'all follow the pages on social media. I'll just name a few. HBCU Connection, HBCU Buzz. Look at those pages. I believe a couple may drop scholarship information in schools that have moved to the option for GPA acceptance. So definitely, if you're considering HBCU life, look at those. Your big schools like Duke, definitely look at those pages because they're bound to mean you just can't take students. I mean, it's just, due to the state of emergency, you gotta take students, and especially with GPA as an option right now, definitely consider that. And like I said, do your research in case you are to get on the phone with one of these representatives, and they might be an admission council. They can possibly throw some money at you just by knowing a couple of facts and interests that you have in college.
Are you saying call the colleges or whatever?
If you haven't received any information, I would say stay in contact with them. It's better to be a student that has expressed interest as far as the institution. They're probably, instead of, some people they fill out the applications, but I feel like if you're interested in that school being your top choice, definitely call them. Try to at least leave a message, be very detailed, and they can call you back. And I'm just saying, you got to keep your opportunities open by staying communicative.
Yeah.
But if that's it for today, I'm gonna leave my phone number. Let me type it in my email in the chat box. My phone number, my email, Morehouse.edu, Trey.Gates at Morehouse.edu, and I can be contacted through these two bits of media. Phone, just leave a message if I'm not able to come to the phone. Definitely email. I'll try to keep you guys posted on as far as people I know. I know a lot of different people have many interests. And I know a lot of, think about, like I said, relationships are very fruitful. Networking, I should have said, call it what it was. Networking is very essential to the college lifestyle as far as defining yourself and branching out some real good peoples. And I think that's what I have for today. Any other questions or
We
comments?
definitely appreciate you, Trey. We definitely, I'm sorry, my kids. Don't hurt yourself, player. Yeah, but we definitely appreciate you, Trey. Yeah, thank you for sharing all your information too. So if you want that information now. But again, man, I appreciate you talking us through some things. Good luck with what you got coming up, man. So I know you still waiting on a couple of applications yourself to make sure you get accepted the way you're trying to go. But I definitely appreciate you sharing some time with us today.
Yeah,
No
thank
problem.
you for your time.
Thank you all. I'm glad y'all open to share, be open ears, all that good stuff. And like I said, if you all, come over to the HBCU lifestyle, don't let the HBCU become you. You allow it to go through you as a student.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, y'all.
You all have a good.
Hey, for everybody that's online still, man, if you ain't tried to do that assignment that Miss Tiet posted, do it. That's money. Hey, that's money. Like for real. That's your stipend right there.
She posted it where?
On Google Classroom. That some of y'all ain't joined yet.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know we had a Google Classroom.
Okay, I'll text you individually since evidently you don't get to remind stuff no more.
Okay.
But when you join Google Classroom, you got to do it with a personal account. Now you can't use your school account.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty, everyone. I hope to see you guys. Well, I hate that I couldn't meet you guys on a close face-to-face basis, but FaceTime is better than no time. So
Yeah.
I will see.
That's the way of the
I
world
wish you all
right now.
the best of luck. All right.
right.
Well, have a good one.
Peace out.